You think you're safe in your own kitchen. You believe the colorful vegetables sitting on your counter are your staunchest allies in the fight against aging. But what if I told you that recent clinical observations and a growing body of research are pointing to a terrifying conclusion? That some of these very foods, these symbols of health, could be quietly orchestrating a catastrophic event inside your brain while you sleep. I'm not talking about junk food. I'm not talking about sugar or salt. I am talking about wholesome, farm-fresh vegetables. And the most shocking part is that the danger isn't in the vegetable itself, but in a hidden chemical reaction that happens almost exclusively in bodies over the age of 60. For years in my practice, I've seen patients who have done everything right. They exercise, they avoid processed foods, they fill their plates with greens. And then, one morning, they wake up, and their world has been shattered. A sudden inability to speak, a terrifying weakness in one arm, the dizzying confusion of a mind that no longer feels like their own, a stroke. It often happens overnight without a single warning sign. And when we trace back the clues, we often find a dietary trigger that is so common, so seemingly innocent, that it sends a chill down my spine. My purpose today is not to make you afraid of food. Fear is paralyzing. My purpose is to give you something far more powerful: knowledge. Because the truth is, your body at 65 is not the same body you had at 35. The way it processes nutrients, the way it interacts with medications, the very chemistry of your blood has changed. And understanding these changes is the single most important key to protecting your independence and your cognitive clarity for the decades to come. So today, we are going to pull back the curtain on 9 specific vegetables that, under the wrong circumstances, can become silent saboteurs of your brain health. I'll explain precisely why they pose a risk, and more importantly, I'll give you the simple, science-backed strategies to continue enjoying them safely. The last vegetable on our list is a staple in almost every American household, and the way most seniors are eating it is, frankly, one of the biggest hidden risks I see. Stay with me, because this information could fundamentally change the way you look at your dinner plate, and it might just save your life, or the life of someone you love. Let's begin with a vegetable often hailed as the king of greens, a food we've been told is a fountain of youth. But for some seniors, it can become a treacherous friend. Vegetable number 1 is spinach, the deceptive architect of internal chaos. For our entire lives, spinach has been marketed as a superfood. We're told it's packed with iron, essential for strong muscles, and loaded with antioxidants to keep us vibrant. And that's not untrue. Spinach is a powerhouse of nutrients like magnesium and fiber, which are crucial for heart and bone health. But here is the brutal truth that most doctors don't have time to explain in a 15-minute appointment after the age of 60. The very compounds that make spinach healthy can begin to wage a quiet war against your vascular system. The culprit is a compound called oxalate. In a younger, more resilient body, the kidneys are incredibly efficient at filtering out these oxalates. But as we age, 2 critical things happen. First, our kidney function naturally begins to decline, sometimes by as much as 40 by the time we reach our 70s. Second, millions of seniors begin taking calcium and vitamin D supplements, often at their doctor's recommendation, to combat osteoporosis. This creates a perfect storm. The oxalates from a nightly spinach salad enter the bloodstream, and instead of being flushed out, they find an abundance of calcium floating around from your supplements. They bind to it, forming microscopic, razor-sharp crystals of calcium oxalate. Imagine tiny shards of glass flowing through your blood vessels. At first, you feel nothing. But over months and years, these crystals act like sandpaper on the delicate inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium. They cause micro-tears and inflammation. Your body, in its wisdom, tries to patch up these tears with cholesterol and plaque. Slowly, silently, your arteries begin to harden and narrow. This process, called atherosclerosis, is dangerous anywhere in the body, but it is catastrophic in the small, intricate vessels that supply oxygen to your brain. It's like a plumbing system in an old house slowly filling with mineral deposits. One day, all it takes is a tiny clot, no bigger than a grain of rice, to get stuck in one of those narrowed passages. And just like that, a part of your brain begins to die. This is not a theoretical risk. I think of my patient Eleanor Vance, a 78-year-old retired librarian from Charlotte. Eleanor was the picture of health. She walked 2 miles every day and prided herself on her evening meal, a large organic spinach salad topped with some walnuts and a light vinaigrette, followed by her daily calcium pill. It was her ritual. One morning, her husband found her sitting in her favorite armchair, staring blankly at the television. She was conscious, but she couldn't form words. Her right side was limp. Eleanor had suffered an ischemic stroke. Her brain scans were heartbreaking. They showed significant calcification in the carotid arteries leading to her brain. Her blood work revealed elevated levels of oxalates. Her healthy nightly habit had, over the years, created the very conditions for the stroke that stole her ability to read the books she so dearly loved. She once told me with immense difficulty, "I thought the salad was my armor, doctor. I didn't know it was the weapon." This is the tragedy I want to help you avoid. Spinach is not your enemy, but after 60 it demands a new level of respect. So here is your jar. Claire's protocol for eating spinach safely. First, timing is everything. Enjoy your spinach earlier in the day, at breakfast, in an omelette, or at lunch. This gives your kidneys the entire active part of your day to process and flush out the oxalates, rather than letting them circulate while you sleep. Second, talk to your doctor about your supplements. If you are taking high doses of calcium or vitamin D, a daily spinach habit might not be wise. We may need to adjust your dosage or your diet. And third, balance over binging. A small handful of cooked spinach once or twice a week is perfectly fine for most seniors. It's the relentless, daily consumption that allows those dangerous crystals to accumulate. If you're finding this information eye-opening, do me a quick favor and press the like button. It helps this video reach more seniors who need to hear this message. Now, let's move on to the next vegetable, a cruciferous champion that can become a hidden risk for anyone on common heart medication. Vegetable number 2, broccoli, the heart's helper that can sabotage its own protection. We've all been told to eat our broccoli. It's been drilled into us since childhood. And for decades the advice was sound. Broccoli is a superstar of nutrition, brimming with fiber, sulforaphane, and antioxidants that are proven to fight inflammation and support cardiovascular health. It is, by all accounts, a model citizen in the world of vegetables. However, what millions of seniors are never told is that after 60, this very vegetable can dangerously interfere with the most common medications prescribed to protect them from a heart attack or stroke. The hidden conflict lies within a single nutrient, vitamin K. Vitamin K's primary role in the body is to help our blood clot. When you were young and get a cut, vitamin K is your best friend, rushing to the scene to form a scab and stop the bleeding. But for the millions of seniors who have atrial fibrillation, a history of blood clots, or have had a stent placed, the game completely changes. These individuals are often placed on anticoagulant medications, blood thinners like warfarin, Plavix, Xarelto, or even a daily therapeutic aspirin. The entire purpose of these drugs is to prevent the blood from clotting too easily. Now, can you see the problem? Eating a large portion of broccoli, which is packed with pro-clotting vitamin K, is like pouring water into the gas tank of your car. It directly counteracts the effect of the medication designed to save your life. Here's the terrifying part: the effect isn't consistent. If you eat a small amount of broccoli one week and a huge amount the next, it throws your blood's clotting ability into a state of chaos. Your doctor measures a value called the inner, which reflects how thin your blood is. One week, your in could be dangerously high, meaning your blood is too thin and you're at risk for a hemorrhagic stroke or a brain bleed. The next week, after a few broccoli-heavy meals, your in could plummet, meaning your blood is too thick and you're at high risk for an ischemic stroke caused by a clot. You are essentially swinging back and forth between two different kinds of disaster, and you won't feel a thing until it is tragically too late. I'll never forget my patient David Chen, an 81-year-old retired engineer from San Francisco. David was meticulous. He laid out his pills in a weekly organizer and took his warfarin at the exact same time every night. Believing he was supporting his heart, he started a new health kick, a big bowl of steamed broccoli with a lemon squeeze for dinner 4 to 5 times a week. He thought he was being proactive. What he didn't know was that this sudden, massive influx of vitamin K was rendering his medication almost useless. His blood, which should have been thin and flowing freely, was becoming thick and sluggish. One afternoon, while playing chess with his grandson, he suddenly felt a crushing pressure in his chest and his left arm went numb. He was having a major heart attack, caused by a clot. In the hospital, his cardiologists were baffled. His in was critically low. It was only after a detailed dietary review that we discovered the culprit. His healthy broccoli habit had silently overridden his life-saving medication. David survived, but he lost a significant portion of his heart function. He told me, his voice filled with regret, "I was an engineer. I believed in precision. I never imagined a vegetable could introduce such a catastrophic variable." So let me be crystal clear, broccoli is not the villain here. The danger is inconsistency and lack of communication. If you are on any kind of blood-thinning medication, you must treat vitamin-rich foods like broccoli with the utmost respect. You don't necessarily have to eliminate them. The key is to consume a consistent amount each week. If you normally eat 1 cup of broccoli per week, stick to that. Don't suddenly decide to eat 10 cups. And most importantly, you must have an open dialogue with your doctor. Inform them of your dietary habits so they can adjust your medication dosage accordingly. Your body is now a finely tuned machine, and a sudden change in diet can throw the entire system out of balance. This is why awareness is your greatest defense. It allows this wonderful vegetable to remain a friend to your heart, not a secret enemy. Now, let's discuss a seemingly light and innocent salad green that can create a state of dangerous dehydration overnight. Vegetable number 3, romaine lettuce, the refreshing choice that can thicken your blood by morning. For so many of us trying to stay healthy as we age, a dinner salad feels like the perfect choice. It's light, low in calories, and doesn't leave you feeling bloated before bed. And the crisp, refreshing crunch of romaine lettuce is often the star of that salad. We associate it with hydration and vitality. But this is a classic example of how a food's properties can have a completely different impact on an older body. The truth that is rarely discussed is that eating a large romaine salad in the evening can quietly increase your risk of a stroke by dawn. The reason is rooted in romaine's natural, gentle diuretic effect. In simple terms, it makes your body release water. In a 40-year-old, this is almost unnoticeable. Their kidneys are robust, their blood vessels are elastic, and their thirst signals are strong. But in a person over 65, the equation changes dramatically. As we age, our body's ability to regulate fluid balance becomes less precise. Crucially, our thirst mechanism weakens. You might be significantly dehydrated and not even feel thirsty. Many seniors are already walking around in a state of chronic, low-grade dehydration. Now, add a large romaine salad to your evening meal. Its diuretic properties begin to pull water from your system. This has a direct effect on your blood. Your blood is about 92% water. When you lose water, your blood volume shrinks. What's left becomes thicker, more viscous. I want you to picture this clearly. Your blood goes from flowing like water to flowing like honey. And this thick, sludgy honey is trying to navigate through arteries that may already be narrowed by age and plaque. It's the perfect formula for a traffic jam. All it takes is a natural dip in blood pressure while you sleep for a clot to form and get stuck in one of the tiny, critical vessels that feed your brain. Let me tell you about Maria Rodriguez, a 75-year-old retired schoolteacher from Phoenix. Maria was determined to stay active. She played pickleball with her friends and was very careful about her diet. Every night, to avoid a heavy meal, she would make a huge salad composed almost entirely of romaine lettuce, with a few cucumbers and a light dressing. She was also on a common blood pressure medication, a diuretic, to manage her hypertension. One morning, her daughter found her deeply confused and struggling to stand. Her speech was slurred. At the hospital, the doctors ran a battery of tests. Her MI revealed she had suffered a small ischemic stroke in the cerebellum, the part of the brain that controls balance. What was the cause? Her blood tests showed clear signs of dehydration and hemoconcentration. Her blood was literally thicker than normal. The combination of her prescription diuretic and her nightly healthy diuretic salad had created a state of profound dehydration while she slept, directly leading to the clot. Maria's recovery was long, and she never regained the full confidence to play pickleball again. She tearfully confessed to me, "I thought I was hydrating with my salad. I never knew it could be doing the exact opposite." This is a vital lesson. It's not that romaine is inherently bad. It's about timing and context. It's about understanding that your body's margin for error is smaller now. So here is my simple, protective advice: shift your salads to lunchtime. Enjoy your romaine when you are active, awake, and consciously hydrating throughout the day. If you do enjoy leafy greens in the evening, make it a point to drink a small glass of water alongside them to counteract the diuretic effect. And if you are on any blood pressure medication, especially diuretics, you must be extra vigilant. Romaine lettuce can and should be a part of your diet, but by respecting its properties and adjusting your timing, you ensure it remains a source of refreshment, not a hidden risk. If you know someone who loves their nightly salads, please consider sharing this video with them. It's a simple piece of information that could make a world of difference. Next, we'll talk about a crunchy snack that can send your blood sugar on a dangerous roller coaster while you sleep. Vegetable number 4, raw carrots, the guilt-free snack that can secretly destabilize your system. Carrots have a sterling reputation. They are the quintessential health snack, crunchy, naturally sweet, low in calories, and famous for their beta-carotene content, which supports eye health. Many seniors, in an effort to cut out processed sugars, turn to a bag of baby carrots as their go-to evening snack. It feels responsible, a guilt-free indulgence. But this is where a little bit of nutritional science becomes critically important. For an aging body, especially one dealing with any level of insulin resistance, eating raw carrots at night can trigger a cascade of events that silently increases stroke risk. Here is what's happening inside your body that you cannot feel. Raw carrots, while being a vegetable, have a relatively high glycemic index compared to leafy greens. This means your body digests them quickly, and their natural sugars are released rapidly into your bloodstream. In a younger person with a highly efficient insulin response, the pancreas releases just the right amount of insulin to usher that sugar into the cells for energy, and blood sugar levels remain stable. But in many older adults, the system is less precise. You might have prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or simply the age-related decline in insulin sensitivity that affects millions. So, you snack on a handful of raw carrots before bed, your blood sugar spikes. In response, your aging pancreas might overreact, releasing a surge of insulin that is too much, too late. This causes your blood sugar to not just normalize, but to crash several hours later in the middle of the night. This state is called nocturnal hypoglycemia. When your blood sugar plummets while you re-asleep, your body perceives it as a life-threatening emergency. It activates its fight or flight response, flooding your system with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones have a powerful effect. They constrict your blood vessels and cause your blood pressure to spike. Now, combine this sudden vascular stress with the overnight dehydration we've already discussed, and you have a treacherous environment inside your arteries. Your blood is thicker, your vessels are tighter, and your blood pressure is surging. It's a recipe for disaster, creating the ideal conditions for a clot to form and lodge in the brain. I remember a patient, Arthur Miller, a 78-year-old retired accountant from Chicago. Arthur was very proud of his disciplined habits. To avoid raiding the cookie jar, he would munch on raw carrots while watching the late-night news. He had been diagnosed with prediabetes but felt he was managing it well with his healthy snack choice. Over several months, he began waking up with a strange sense of grogginess and occasional headaches, which he dismissed as just getting older. Then, one morning, he woke up and the vision in his left eye was partially obscured. He'd had a transient ischemic attack, or a mini stroke. His doctor, after putting him on a continuous glucose monitor for a week, discovered the pattern. Every night after his carrot snack, his blood sugar would spike and then crash violently around 3 a.m., followed by a surge in blood pressure. His seemingly innocent snack was creating a nightly storm inside his circulatory system. Arthur was shocked. "They were just carrots," he said. "How can something so simple be so dangerous?" His question gets to the heart of the matter. Carrots are not the enemy. They are a wonderful source of vitamins, but they must be consumed wisely. Here's the protocol. First, avoid eating them raw and alone at night. This is the riskiest scenario. Save your raw carrot snacks for the daytime when your body is active and better equipped to handle blood sugar fluctuations. Second, always pair them with a buffer. If you do eat carrots, have them with a source of protein or healthy fat, like a spoonful of hummus, a handful of almonds, or a hard-boiled egg. The protein and fat act like a brake, dramatically slowing down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream and preventing the dangerous spike and crash cycle. Cooked carrots are also a safer option, as the cooking process makes them slightly less impactful on blood sugar. The sweet crunch of a carrot can still be a wonderful part of your life, but remember that after 60. Timing and pairing are not just details, they are critical strategies for protecting your brain. Let's now turn to a revered natural medicine, one found in almost every kitchen, that can become a silent risk for brain bleeds. Vegetable number 5: garlic, nature's powerful medicine that requires a doctor's supervision. For thousands of years, across countless cultures, garlic has been revered not just as a flavorful ingredient, but as a potent medicine. It's celebrated for its ability to lower blood pressure, fight infections, and support heart health. In the senior community, it's common for people to not only cook with garlic but to also take concentrated garlic supplements, believing they are giving their body one of nature's greatest gifts. And in many ways they are. Garlic's benefits are real and scientifically validated. But here is the critical warning that is so often missed for older adults taking blood-thinning medications. garlic can transform from a protector into a potent threat, quietly increasing the risk of a hemorrhagic stroke or a bleed in the brain. The science is straightforward. Garlic contains compounds, particularly allicin, that have a natural anticoagulant effect. This means garlic itself can thin the blood and reduce its ability to clot. On its own, for a person not on any medication, this can be a beneficial effect, potentially lowering the risk of a clot-related heart attack or stroke. But the danger arises when you combine this natural medicine with pharmaceutical medicine. Millions of seniors are prescribed anticoagulants like warfarin, or antiplatelet drugs like Plavix, or even a daily low-dose aspirin to prevent dangerous clots. When you add a high dose of garlic, especially in the form of a concentrated supplement on top of these medications, you are essentially doubling down on the blood-thinning effect. Your blood can become too thin, so thin that it loses its essential ability to clot when needed. The blood vessels in our brains become more fragile and brittle with age. All it might take is a sudden spike in blood pressure from a sneeze, a cough, or straining on the toilet for one of these delicate vessels to rupture. In a person with normal clotting function, the body would quickly form a tiny plug to seal the leak. But in a body where the blood is too thin from this double effect of medication and garlic, the bleeding doesn't stop. It continues to seep out, putting pressure on the brain tissue, starving it of oxygen, and causing a catastrophic hemorrhagic stroke. Let me tell you about Thomas, an 81-year-old retired history professor. After having a heart stent placed, his cardiologist put him on Plavix. Wanting to be proactive about his health, Thomas started taking a potent 600 garlic supplement every morning. He also began adding an extra raw, crushed clove of garlic to his evening soup. He didn't think to mention this to his doctor. After all, it's just garlic, right? About a month later, Thomas began experiencing excruciating headaches unlike any he'd had before. He became sensitive to light and felt nauseous. One evening, while reading a book, his vision suddenly blurred, his speech became garbled, and he collapsed. He had suffered a major brain bleed. When his medical team reviewed his case, the cause was clear. The potent combination of his prescription medication and his high-dose garlic supplementation had thinned his blood to a dangerously low level. Thomas survived, but the stroke left him with permanent cognitive impairments. His passion, reading history, was now a profound struggle. He told me, his voice barely a whisper, "I was trying to build a fortress for my heart. I had no idea I was digging a tunnel into my brain." This story is a powerful reminder that natural does not automatically mean safe, especially when you are taking prescription medications. So here is the essential safety protocol for garlic after 60. First and foremost, if you are on any blood-thinning medication, you must not take garlic supplements without the explicit guidance and approval of your doctor. This is non-negotiable. Second, stick to culinary amounts. The garlic you use to flavor your food in cooking is generally safe and is not concentrated enough to cause these dangerous interactions. It's the high-potency pills and extracts that pose the biggest risk. And third, be aware of the warning signs. If you start noticing that you are bruising very easily, have frequent nosebleeds, or see blood when you brush your teeth, these could be signs that your blood is too thin. Contact your doctor immediately. Garlic is a gift from nature, but at this stage of life, it must be handled with the same caution and respect as a powerful drug. Used wisely, it supports you. Used carelessly, it can lead to tragedy. Now, let's explore a common kitchen staple whose effects on blood pressure can be surprisingly unpredictable in seniors. Vegetable number 6. Onions. The flavorful foundation that can destabilize your circulation. Onions are the backbone of so many delicious meals. They add a depth of flavor that is irreplaceable in soups, stews, and sautés. Beyond their taste, they are lauded for their health benefits, particularly due to a powerful antioxidant called quercetin. Quercetin is known for fighting inflammation and helping to lower cholesterol. For these reasons, onions are generally considered a heart-healthy food. But once again, what is beneficial for a younger body can become a source of instability for an older one. For seniors, especially those on blood pressure medication, a large intake of onions can quietly disrupt your circulatory system, creating unpredictable swings that put the brain at risk. The key lies in that same compound, quercetin. In addition to being an antioxidant, quercetin is also a natural vasodilator. This means it causes your blood vessels to relax and widen. In a healthy, unmedicated person, this can be a good thing, gently helping to regulate blood pressure. However, for a senior who is already taking prescription vasodilator medications to control hypertension like ACE inhibitors or calcium channel blockers, Adding a large dose of quercetin from onions can amplify the effect to a dangerous degree. Here is the chain of events that can unfold, particularly if you consume an onion-heavy meal in the evening. First, the combined effect of your medication and the quercetin can cause your blood pressure to drop too low, a condition called hypotension. You might feel dizzy, lightheaded, or foggy. When your blood pressure dips too much, the oxygen supply to your brain is reduced, leaving brain cells vulnerable. Second, your body has a brilliant but sometimes clumsy defense system. When it senses that blood pressure is too low, it can overact by triggering a sudden constriction of the blood vessels to bring the pressure back up. This creates a volatile cycle of vasodilation widening and vasoconstriction tightening. This circulatory turbulence is incredibly stressful for aging, fragile arteries. It can dislodge a small piece of plaque from an artery wall or create the perfect conditions for a microclot to form and travel to the brain. Seniors who are on multiple heart medications, have a history of atrial fibrillation, or have known circulation issues are at the highest risk for this kind of instability. The effect is often magnified when onions are eaten raw, as cooking can mellow the potency of the quercetin. This doesn't mean you need to banish onions from your kitchen. Their flavor and antioxidant properties are too valuable to lose, but it does mean you need a new set of rules for them after 60. Here are my practical tips for enjoying onions safely. First, think of onions as a supporting actor, not the star of the show. Use them for flavor in your cooked meals, rather than eating large quantities of raw onion in salads or sandwiches. Second, prioritize cooked onions over raw. The cooking process gently reduces coercive vasodilating impact, making it easier for your body to manage. Third, be mindful of timing. Avoid onion-heavy meals like a large bowl of French onion soup late at night. Shift those meals to your midday meal when your circulatory system is more active and resilient. And finally, listen to your body. If you notice a pattern of feeling dizzy, confused, or unusually fatigued in the mornings after an onion-rich dinner, it could be a sign that your blood pressure is dropping too low overnight. Discuss this with your doctor. Onions can and should remain a delicious part of your diet. But by understanding their powerful effect on your blood vessels, you can use them to build flavor without inadvertently building risk for your brain. Next up is a beloved summer staple that nutritionally behaves more like a starch and can be quietly dangerous for your blood sugar. Vegetable number 7, corn. The sweet, comforting food that acts like hidden sugar. For so many of us, corn is the taste of summer, of community gatherings and comforting family meals. Whether it's grilled on the cob, stirred into a chowder, or served as a warm side of cornbread, it feels wholesome and traditional. It comes from the earth, so it must be a vegetable, right? This is a critical misconception. Nutritionally speaking, corn, especially sweet corn, behaves in the body far less like a vegetable and far more like a starch or a grain. This means that when you eat it, your body's primary response is to convert its high natural sugar content into glucose, raising your blood sugar in a way that is surprisingly similar to eating a slice of white bread. And after the age of 60, this metabolic distinction is not just academic, it's a matter of brain health. The reason this matters so much is that, as we've discussed, many older adults are already contending with a less efficient insulin system and compromised circulation. So, when you eat a significant portion of corn, especially without a proper buffer, a familiar and dangerous sequence begins. First comes the rapid blood sugar spike. The glucose from the corn floods your bloodstream, forcing your body to scramble and produce insulin. Second, in an aging body, this insulin response is often an overreaction. The resulting blood sugar crash, overnight nocturnal hypoglycemia, triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Third, this hormonal surge causes your blood vessels to tighten and your blood pressure to rise. In the fragile arteries of the brain, this combination of thicker, sluggish blood from the sugar and sudden pressure swings creates a high-risk environment for a stroke. But there's another, more subtle problem with corn. Compared to other vegetables, it is relatively low in the powerhouse nutrients that protect the brain. While it does provide some fiber, it lacks the potent antioxidants, anti-inflammatory compounds, and micronutrients found in abundance in leafy greens, beets, or cruciferous vegetables. So, you are getting the full impact of a blood sugar spike, but you are receiving very little in terms of protective, anti-aging benefits in return. It's a poor trade-off for a senior's brain. Does this mean corn must be exiled from your plate forever? Not necessarily. But it must be demoted from a staple to a very occasional treat, and it must be consumed with extreme caution. Here are my clear, practical guidelines for corn after 60. First, never eat it alone. If you are going to have a small portion of corn, you absolutely must pair it with a significant source of protein, healthy fat, and fiber. For example, having a small amount of corn in a chili with beans and lean meat is far safer than a side of creamed corn. The other ingredients act as a buffer, slowing down the sugar's entry into your bloodstream. Second, timing is critical. Do not eat corn at night. The late evening spike and subsequent crash cycle is most perilous when you are asleep, dehydrated, and your brain is most vulnerable. And third, limit the frequency and portion size. Treat corn like you would a dessert, something to be enjoyed in small amounts on special occasions, not as a daily vegetable. Choose whole kernel corn over processed forms like cornmeal or corn flakes, which have an even more dramatic impact on blood sugar. Corn may be a comforting taste of the past, but for a healthy future, we must recognize it for what it is, a high sugar starch in a vegetable's disguise. By respecting this reality, you can prevent it from quietly compromising the health of your brain. Now, let's look at an elegant vegetable that can quietly drain your body of its most precious resource. Vegetable number 8, asparagus, the elegant detoxifier that can dangerously dehydrate you. Asparagus often feels like a sophisticated, healthy choice. It's elegant on the plate, a staple in clean eating meal plans, and often associated with detoxing and cleansing the system. For seniors looking to avoid heavy, greasy foods, a side of steamed asparagus seems like one of the safest, smartest upgrades you can make. But the very property that gives asparagus its cleansing reputation is what can make it a hidden threat for an older adult. Asparagus is a potent natural diuretic. It actively encourages your body to flush out water. And while this might sound harmless, for a senior's finely balanced system, it can quietly pave the way for a stroke, especially when eaten at night. Let's revisit the critical concept of hydration. By the time we reach our 70s and 80s, our kidneys are simply not as efficient at regulating fluids as they were decades earlier. Our thirst signals are muted, and our blood vessels have lost much of their youthful elasticity, making them less able to cope with rapid changes in blood volume. Now introduce a diuretic like asparagus into this delicate ecosystem. As it pulls water out of your bloodstream, your blood volume decreases. This makes your blood thicker and more concentrated. Once again, picture that thick, syrupy blood trying to make its way through the narrow, winding vessels of your brain. This thickened blood is far more likely to form a clot. The danger is magnified exponentially at night. Imagine you have a lovely dinner with a generous portion of asparagus. Its diuretic effect kicks in and continues to work for hours while you are asleep. During this time, you are not drinking any fluids. Your body is already in its most dehydrated state of the 24-hour cycle. Your blood is quietly becoming thicker and thicker. This is the precise window of time when a small clot can form, break away, and travel to the brain, blocking the flow of oxygen and triggering a stroke that you won't even be aware of until you wake up or done tea. The risk is even greater for seniors who are already taking prescription diuretics for blood pressure or heart failure. The asparagus essentially supercharges the effect of the medication, creating a powerful and dangerous dehydrating combination. This is not to say that asparagus is a bad food. It is wonderfully rich in vitamins C, E, and K, as well as fiber and folate, all of which are crucial for healthy aging. But like all the vegetables on our list today, it comes with a new user manual after the age of 60. So, here is how you enjoy asparagus without falling into its trap. First, and most importantly, do not eat asparagus late at night. Make it a lunchtime vegetable. Enjoy it earlier in the day when you are awake, active, and can consciously stay on top of your hydration. Second, hydrate with intention. If you are having asparagus for lunch, make it a non-negotiable rule to drink an extra glass of water with that meal. You can also pair it with hydrating foods like slices of cucumber or melon to help maintain your fluid balance. And third, be mindful of medications. If you take a diuretic, speak with your doctor. They need to know that you enjoy asparagus so you can discuss how to do so safely. Pay attention to the subtle warning signs your body gives you. Morning dizziness, unusual fatigue, or a persistently dry mouth could be clues that you are not as hydrated as you need to be. Asparagus can still grace your plate, but by shifting its timing and respecting its potent diuretic effect, you ensure that it helps to cleanse your system without quietly draining your brain of its lifeline. Finally, we come to the most common vegetable on this list, a food so ubiquitous that its hidden risk is almost unthinkable. Vegetable number 9, tomatoes, the wholesome staple that can mimic a stroke. Tomatoes are the cornerstone of countless healthy diets. We slice them into salads, simmer them into sauces, and blend them into soups. They are bursting with lycopene, a powerful antioxidant celebrated for protecting the heart and fighting cancer. For most seniors, tomatoes feel like one of the safest, most reliable foods in their entire diet. But what I have observed in my clinical practice is something that might shock you for a subset of sensitive individuals over 60. A heavy intake of tomatoes can trigger a frightening array of neurological symptoms that can look and feel exactly like a mini stroke. The reason is complex and lies in the chemical makeup of the tomato itself. Tomatoes are a member of the nightshade family of plants, and they contain a trio of compounds that can be problematic for an aging nervous system. First, they contain amines like histamine and tyramine. In sensitive individuals, these can cause blood vessels in the brain to unpredictably constrict and then dilate, leading to migraines, blurred vision, and dizziness. Second, they contain a natural neurotoxin called solanine. In small amounts, it's harmless. But if an older person with a slower metabolism consumes a large quantity, it can irritate the nervous system, potentially causing symptoms like numbness, tingling, or even slurred speech. Third, tomatoes are highly acidic. A frequent, high intake of acidic foods can disrupt the delicate balance of electrolytes in your body, particularly magnesium and calcium, which are absolutely essential for stable nerve signaling and proper vascular function. When these three effects stack up in an older adult with more fragile blood vessels and a more sensitive nervous system, the result can be what doctors call a stroke mimic. It's not a true stroke caused by a clot or a bleed, but the symptoms are terrifyingly real: sudden confusion, difficulty speaking, visual disturbances, dizziness or numbness in the limbs. The risk for these episodes is highest for seniors who consume large, concentrated amounts of tomato products like a big bowl of tomato soup or pasta sauce late in the evening. The risk is further amplified if you combine them with other nightshades like potatoes, eggplants, or peppers, or if you are already taking medications for blood pressure or nerve-related issues. This does not mean everyone needs to stop eating tomatoes. The lycopene and vitamins they provide are incredibly beneficial. But it does mean that if you are experiencing unexplained neurological symptoms, you need to consider the possibility that this healthy food could be a trigger. Here's how to approach tomatoes with wisdom after 6. First, avoid heavy, concentrated tomato meals at night. That nightly bowl of tomato soup might be doing more harm than good. Second, pay close attention to your body's signals. If you notice a pattern of feeling foggy, dizzy, or having headaches after eating a tomato-heavy meal, don't just dismiss it as old age. It could be a direct reaction. Try eliminating tomatoes for 2 weeks and see if your symptoms improve. And third, moderation and balance are key. A few fresh slices in a sandwich during the day is far safer for a sensitive system than a large serving of concentrated sauce at night. Tomatoes are not the villain, but in our later years, our bodies can lose their tolerance for even the most wholesome of foods. The key is to become a detective of your own health, listening to the subtle clues your body provides. And now for the most important part of our conversation today. After hearing about the hidden risks in these 9 common vegetables, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But I want you to take a deep breath and hear this. This knowledge is not meant to create fear. It is meant to create freedom. The real medicine here is not avoiding vegetables. The real medicine is awareness. It's understanding the profound truth that what you put on your plate today directly builds the strength, the clarity, and the independence you will have tomorrow. It's about making small, intentional shifts: eating your salads at lunch, pairing your carrots with protein, being consistent with your broccoli, and talking openly with your doctor. These simple acts of wisdom are what true healthy aging is all about. At Ageless Vitality, we believe that aging is not a process of decline, but a process of refinement. It's the wisdom to adapt, to listen to your body, and to thrive. I'd love to hear from you. Which of these vegetable insights surprised you the most? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience could be incredibly helpful to another member of our community. And if you found value in this discussion, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so you never miss a tip that could help you live not just a longer life, but a stronger, sharper, and more vibrant one.